Welcome back to our series on decision, the mastery of procrastination on Audeo. In the last episode, we discussed desire, the starting point of all achievement. Today, in episode 2, we move on to the profound transformation of our internal energy and the hidden machinery of the subconscious mind. We are exploring how the most powerful human drives can be redirected to fuel a life of extraordinary success. Have you ever looked at a successful person, someone in their 50s or 60s who seems to possess an almost supernatural level of drive, and wonder where that fire comes from? Most people assume that as we age, our energy naturally fades. We're told that the prime of life is our 20s. But what if I told you that the data suggests the exact opposite? What if the secret to mastery isn't found in the raw, unbridled energy of youth, but in the disciplined redirection of that energy in our later years? After analyzing over 25,000 individuals, a startling pattern emerged. Remarkable success rarely strikes before the age of 40. In fact, most people don't find their true professional rhythm until they are well past 50. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We live in a culture obsessed with the 30 under 30-foot lists. But the reality is that the years between 40 and 60 are the most fertile ground for genius. Why is this? The answer lies in a concept called transmutation. Specifically, the transmutation of our most powerful biological urge, the sex drive. Now, before you lean back, let's clarify what we mean. We aren't talking about something sordid or taboo. We're talking about the highest form of human chemistry. Think of your energy like a massive, rushing river. In your youth, that river often overflows its banks. It's powerful, yes, but it's scattered. It's dissipated. People sow their wild oats, as the old saying goes. They throw their most potent emotional energy to the four winds. But as we mature, we learn, or at least the successful among us learn, how to dam that river. We learn how to channel that massive force through a narrow turbine. When you take that raw, impelling desire and redirect it into your work, your art, or your business, you create a level of sales enthusiasm and personal magnetism that is simply unstoppable. You see, son, most people are like a steam engine with a dozen leaks in the boiler. They have the heat, but they have no pressure. They waste their vital force on temporary physical expressions. But isn't that urge just natural? Of course it is. It's the most natural thing in the world. But nature didn't give us that drive just for procreation. It gave it to us as a stimulant for the mind. When you harness that urge and turn it into creative action, you enter what we call the genius mode. You begin to function on a plane of thought that the average person can't even perceive. Let's look at a real-world example. Think of a master salesperson. Have you ever met someone who just walked into a room and the atmosphere changed? They didn't even have to speak yet, but you felt their presence. That is personal magnetism. It's not magic. It's energy. It's expressed in the firmness of a handshake, the musical resonance of the voice, and the brisk grace of their movement. This magnetism is nothing more than sex energy, refined and projected outward as professional enthusiasm. This leads us to a critical, actionable takeaway. If you want to increase your ROI in your career, you must stop dissipating your emotional energy. You must learn the strategy of focus. Imagine a laser. A laser is just light, the same kind of light coming from the bulb in your ceiling. But while the ceiling light scatters in every direction to illuminate a room, the laser concentrates all that energy into a single, microscopic point. That point can cut through steel. Transmutation is the process of turning your scattered emotional light into a professional laser. Now, let's pivot to the connecting link, the subconscious mind. If the sex drive is the fuel, the subconscious is the engine. Think of your subconscious as a vast, silent filing cabinet. Every single thought you've ever had, every sight you've seen, and every emotion you felt is filed away there. But it's more than just storage. It's a 24/7 processing plant. It never sleeps. It is the intermediary between your limited, finite mind and the vastness of infinite intelligence. But here is the catch. The subconscious is totally impartial. It doesn't care if you feed it gold or garbage. If you fail to voluntarily plant your desires and plans into it, it will feed on the stray thoughts that drift in from the world, the fears, the doubts, the news cycles, and the criticisms of others. This is why you must be the gatekeeper of your own mind. You must use autosuggestion to hand over your plans to the subconscious. But you can't just read a list of goals like you're reading a grocery list. The subconscious doesn't speak the language of cold logic. It speaks the language of emotion. Imagine you're trying to teach a dog a new trick. If you just speak to him in a flat, monotone voice, he'll just tilt his head and look confused. But if you use excitement, if you use a treat, if you use feeling, he understands immediately. Your subconscious is that dog. It needs the yeast of emotion to make the bread of thought rise. There are 7 major positive emotions you must master: desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. These are your allies. On the flip side, there are 7 giants you must banish: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger. Here is a micro challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, I want you to be a mental sentry. Every time a negative emotion tries to cross the threshold of your mind, I want you to stop it. Don't just ignore it, transmute it. If you feel a flash of anger, immediately pivot your thought to a goal you are enthusiastic about. You cannot have a positive and a negative emotion occupying your mind at the same time. One will always crowd out the other. Which one will you choose to feed? Let's talk about the brain itself. Modern science is only now beginning to catch up to what the greats have always known. Your brain is a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibrations of thought. Think of it like a radio. If you want to hear jazz, you have to tune the dial to a specific frequency. If you're tuned to the fear frequency, you're going to pick up all the static and misery in the air. But when you highly energize your brain through the transmutation of energy we discussed earlier, you step up your vibration. You start picking up hunches. You start having inspirations. This is what we call the sixth sense. The sixth sense is the apex of this philosophy. It's the door to the temple of wisdom. It's that moment when a solution to a problem just flashes into your mind out of nowhere. But these flashes don't happen to people whose minds are cluttered with the static of procrastination and doubt. They happen to those who have built a mastermind. Think of the great Andrew Carnegie. He didn't know everything about making steel, but he surrounded himself with a group of people who, when they sat together, created a third mind. This is the mastermind principle. When 2 or more people coordinate in a spirit of perfect harmony for a definite purpose, they create a psychic energy that is greater than the sum of its parts. It's like connecting several batteries in a series. The voltage skyrockets. Imagine you are sitting at a table with the greatest minds in history. This was a practice used by many masters. They would hold invisible counselor meetings. In their imagination, they would seek advice from Lincoln on persistence, from Emerson on self-reliance, and from Napoleon on leadership. They weren't just daydreaming. They were tuning their receiving station to the frequencies of greatness. Let's look at a case study of this in action. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur we'll call Marcus. Marcus was 35, working a mid-level job, and felt like his life was stalling. He was constantly procrastinating on his dream of starting a sustainable energy company. He was dissipating his energy, spending his weekends in mindless indulgence, and his workdays in a fog of what-ifs. Then, he discovered the principle of transmutation. He made a decision. He decided to take all that frustrated energy and channel it into a definite chief aim. He started waking up at 5 a.m. He used autosuggestion every morning, visualizing his company not as a dream, but as a present reality. He felt the emotion of success. Within 6 months, something strange happened. He was at a coffee shop when he accidentally struck up a conversation with a man who turned out to be a retired engineer with 3 patents in solar technology. That wasn't luck. That was Marcus's broadcasting station finally being tuned to the right frequency. He He had stepped up his vibration, and he attracted the exact resource he needed. Today, Marcus's company is a leader in the field. The problem was procrastination. The action was transmutation and subconscious programming. The result was a multi-million-dollar reality. This brings us to a deep reflection point. Pause for a moment. Think about your current dominating thoughts. If your life is a reflection of your thoughts, and it is, what is your current blueprint telling the subconscious to build? Is it building a shack of just getting by, or is it building a cathedral of impact and legacy? You must understand that there are no toll gates between your mind and infinite intelligence. The communication is free, but it requires a sincere desire and persistence. You cannot pray for success while harboring a heart full of fear. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You'll just burn out the engine. Think of faith as the only agency that gives your thoughts a spiritual nature. Faith is the step-up transformer for your mental electricity. Without it, your thoughts are just local. With it, they become universal. Now, let's address a common counterargument. You might say, but I'm too old, or I've wasted too much time. Remember the 25,000-person study. If you're 40, 50, or even 60, you're just now entering your creative prime. Your past failures were actually just lessons in how to better channel your energy. You've stopped the leaks in the boiler. Now it's time to build the pressure. Here is another analogy to help this stick. Building a powerhouse of a mind is like cultivating a garden. If you do nothing, weeds will grow. That is the natural state of a neglected mind. To have a garden of success, you must first clear the rocks, then plant the seeds, and then, most importantly, you must water them daily with faith and enthusiasm. You can't just plant a seed and then dig it up the next day to see if it's growing. That is what doubt does. You must trust the subconscious soil to do its work in the dark. Imagine this sixth sense as a guardian angel sitting on your shoulder. It warns you of impending dangers and whispers opportunities into your ear. But it only speaks in whispers. If your mind is a chaotic mess of procrastination and indecision, you will never hear it. You must cultivate stillness. You must meditate on your goals until they become a part of your very soul. This is the mastery of procrastination. Procrastination is simply the result of a mind that lacks a high-voltage desire. When your desire is transmuted, when your subconscious is programmed, and when your brain is broadcasting on the frequency of achievement, procrastination becomes impossible. You won't need an alarm clock to get out of bed. Your definite purpose will pull you out of sleep with the force of a magnet. Let's recap the mindset required for this level of mastery. It requires voluntary self-effort. There is no easy button. You must take control of your mental chemistry. You must blend love, sex, and romance into a triple threat of creative power. When these three emotions are balanced, you achieve a poise and an accuracy of judgment that makes you a leader in any field. Remember, your mind is a creature of habit. It thrives on the dominating thoughts you feed it. If you feed it riches, it will bring you riches. If you feed it poverty, it will bring you poverty. The subconscious doesn't judge the message. It only executes the order. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final interactive exercise. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to write down one single, definite goal on a piece of paper. Hold that paper in your hand. Close your eyes and feel the emotion of already having achieved it. Don't think about how it will happen. Just feel the result. As you drift off to sleep, let that be the last file you put in your subconscious cabinet. You are giving your 24/7 processing plant its marching orders for the night. This is the 10th step to riches. It is the alchemy of the mind. It is the realization that you are the master of your fate because you are the master of your thoughts. You have the power to transmute any situation, any emotion, and any energy into the gold of your choosing. The world is ruled by emotions, not cold reason. If you want to rule your world, you must master your heart. You must become the architect of your own desire. Stop being a passenger in your own mind and start being the pilot. Tune your station, clear your files, and prepare for the inspirations that are about to come your way. You are now equipped with the science of the intangible. You understand that the greatest forces in the universe, gravity, electricity, and thought, are all unseen. But just because you can't see them doesn't mean you can't use them. In fact, the more you master the intangible, the more tangible your success will become. The road to genius is open to you. It's not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It is reserved for the decisive. It is reserved for those who are willing to do the internal work of transmutation. Are you ready to step into your genius mode? Are you ready to turn your wild oats into refined gold? The choice, as always, is yours. That wraps up this episode. Join us next time as we continue our journey on Audeo, where we will delve into the final steps of this philosophy and explore how to protect your newly built temple of wisdom from the 6 ghosts of fear. Until then, keep your station tuned to greatness.